Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 7 of Calisthenics Endurance, and today we have another pull day. Now, this week has been kinda rough with the heat wave and stuff going on, but I'm getting back on top of recovery. So, yeah, today is gonna be, I think, a normal day. I'm not gonna make it a crazy intense day, but it's gonna be just a regular pull day. And now, I was thinking to myself, lately I've been doing 3 sets of one arm pull ups for every workout. And the reason I did this was because 5 sets felt too hard. 5 sets felt like too much volume. It felt like, I was destroying myself. And that's because my main goal at the moment is push up endurance. I'm training every day basically to achieve more push ups, to get more push up volume. I'm doing greasing the groove as well, as you will see in today's training, even though it's a pull day. But then I was thinking to myself, like, hey, when something is too hard, perhaps the solution is to make it easier. And I've been making my workouts easier by, reducing the amount of sets. But perhaps, unconsciously, I was just doing that because I'm a lazy piece of shit. Sometimes you just have to make that realization. I can do 5 sets of one arm pull ups easily if I just make the sets easy, right? If I make the sets less intense. And yes, it takes more time. Yes, it's more tedious, but is it like does it give a worse result? No, I think not. In fact, I think by adding more sets or like 5 sets instead of three, it's not like the more the better, but 5 sets instead of 3 sets will force me to do easier sets, will force me to basically go less hard on trainings, right? If I can manage my tiredness, if I can manage my recovery by doing 5 sets, I am pretty sure that I will never be able to go overboard. And there's all of these different phases in training, or I guess I should say there's two main phases. You have building your intensity phase and you have building your base. And oftentimes, building your base, that's the boring stuff, right? Building the intensity, having like 1 set intensity, going for your max reps, that's fun. That's PRs. That's what we want to do, right? And 3 sets, if you only have to do 3 sets, you can go pretty intensely, and that's fun. But that's when you are trying to, peak into a PR. And when you're not trying to peak into a PR, it's oftentimes good to pull back a little bit on the intensity and do more volume. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna do 5 sets, but the sets are gonna be easier. In fact, I think I'm just gonna do 5 sets of 3 reps as an easy starter because, well, as I said, this week was rough. But remember this very important fact. If something's too hard, you can make it easier. And you can make it easier in many ways, right? Not only reducing sets, you can play with reps, you can play with rest time, you can play with weight, you can play with everything, right? So remember that. Let's go. Let's do some pull ups. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me between the bangers that are playing at the moment, but when it comes to these pull-ups, I'm trying to have a little pause at the bottom in dead hang because oftentimes when people train pull-ups, they will, jump onto the bar and do the top movement, but they will forget about the bottom part. And, I'm no king of range of motion, I'll say that much, but when it comes to the pull-up, it's very important to every now and then, especially in the one-arm pull-up, in my opinion, to go down completely because that's where the movement starts. And so if you're not able to do this, you will never be able to actually pull yourself up. So that's something I'm just trying to pay attention to. All right, that's 5 sets done, and to be honest, it's feeling relatively light, but that's also kind of logical. I went from 3 sets of 5 to 5 sets of 3. That's the same volume, just spread out more. So of course, it's gonna be easier, but that's not an issue. Next time I do this training, I can just do it again and add a little bit of progress. Perhaps I'll add, a kilo of weight, or perhaps I'll do one extra rep on the last set. I don't know, but in any case, with these pull-ups, what I'm trying to aim for is consistent, slow but consistent progress. Because if I can continue that pattern over months and months and months, I will have a very solid base in the one arm pull up for when I start focusing on it again. But all of this light pulling, well, it's still only a set of 3 reps, so definitely in the strength range, but it felt kind of light, and doing all of this light pulling made me hungry for some heavy pulling. So what I'm gonna do is not one arm pull ups anymore. I'm gonna do my finisher sets. And well, in the last couple workouts, I've been doing like 2 or 3 sets of finishers, like I guess 3 sets, right? But I figured, I increased the bulk of my main sets on the one arm pull up. I'm just gonna go for one very hard set on the finisher right here and see how my body responds to that next training. So I'm gonna start with weighted chin-ups, and first I'm gonna control my chin-ups. I'm gonna try to pause at the top, but when that's not possible anymore, I'm gonna try to basically hang for a couple seconds, get back some of my energy, and then just spam some other pull-ups or spam some more chin-ups with a bit of momentum added. And how is this gonna go? I don't know. I've never tried it, but when you don't know if something's gonna work, you just have to try it, right? That's kind of how you find things out. But yeah, let's go. Oh, holy shit. All right, 20 kilos. Not that it matters, As long as you're pulling hard, you are pulling well. Okie dokie, so that's gonna be it for today's workout. 5 sets done, or well, I guess 6 in total. And when it comes to working out, it's not a black and white role, you can do anything that you want. It's a gray area because, well, there is the 1 set method, which I've talked about before on this channel. There's a 2 set method. Oftentimes I use 3 sets. You can do 5 sets. Why not 4? Why not 100? Right? When you're doing endurance workouts. In fact, on Monday I did 60 sets. There's a lot of stuff that you can just try out, and it's not like one is better than the other. It's just a different tool for a different task. So when you're doing, a low amount of sets, usually you're peaking into some kind of PR, right? You're trying to get that very short-term strength. When you're having a bit more sets, you're building a base, because guess what? More sets, you don't have infinite energy. You're not able to like give all of your power on all of those sets, right? And so you're kind of toning down the intensity, but working more on the technique and building a base that way. Or you're taking it to the extreme, doing 60 sets, right? And just working on full on endurance. Now, that's just whatever you want to achieve, right? You want to like achieve endurance, go for volume. You want to achieve strength, mix in the base building phases with the intensity phases, right? It's the same with the skills. You can have a volume phase and then an intensity phase where in the volume phase there will be a lot of sets at a light intensity, but in the intensity phase you're trying to do combos, you're trying to get longer sets, you're trying to get that one set endurance and become stronger that way. A different tool for a different task. There is no one clear solution. So when you ask yourself, or when people ask me, how many sets should I do? How the hell would I know? I don't even know your goals. But if you just try something, right? If you don't know how many sets you need to do, perhaps start with 5 and look at your results. Are you progressing? No, well, perhaps try some lower intensity with a bit more sets, or try to up the intensity. Try to change something, because oftentimes that change in stimulus is what actually will trigger growth. Well, but that's what will trigger your progress. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today's workout. Very happy with how it went, and I'll see you tomorrow for what? I think kind of an active rest day, some planche perhaps. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a planche workout actually. Let's go.